Hello there. It is the third Friday of the month, which means several of my crafty friends and I are all collaborating on these sketches in the Stampin' Up catalog here. So this is the third month. So we are using this sketch. Now I'm going to be stretching the sketch. It's this grid one here, and I am going to be making a companion page for that, along with this, my spin on this particular page. Grids are classic and they are a great way of incorporating a ton of photos. So what I have here is, now I've already kind of torn through this because I did an unboxing in my customer appreciation Facebook group, but this is called the Make a Memory Scrapbooking Kit, and it's really a fun little kit. There's lots of everyday type moments you could scrapbook with this. I've already popped all these, came nice and neat. They were all in sheets. There's pocket cards and frames and little bits of cuteness. Look at that camera there. And sorry, it's kind of a jumbled mess, but like I said, I already tore it all apart and went through it. Little heart there and tons of little journaling tags or layering tags. Super cute little kit. Now I have a whole bunch of photos featuring some really cute little fluffernutters here. This is my mom, and I'm going to be documenting the story about a whole bunch of kittens, a kitten explosion. And this is Hagrid, and I'll tell you more about the other names because you'll pick up on a theme if you haven't already just by that one. It was kind of a giveaway. But I've got square photos, I've got some large focal photos, some miscellaneous odd shaped photos, and it's going to be fun to incorporate these all into today's sketch challenge. So let me set this aside here and grab the Versamats. They do provide all sorts of inspiration and jumping off points in this. They don't give you like step by step instructions, but there are photos of ideas and ways you can utilize the fun little bits of ephemera and the different background papers. There's some great layout ideas in there. And of course, you can always use that as a jumping off point and just add to it. So I can tell you when I look at these photos, I see a lot of greens. There's kind of a yellow color in that light green in the background, and then blues. So I'm wearing kind of a green blue. There's, look at this kitten in the tunnel there. So funny. And my mom's wearing kind of a light blue floral and some neutral colors. So I really like this color tone with the photos. You can kind of see how that picks that up there. And then I'm thinking this peach paper here. So these are kind of my inspiration bits. And I should show you, there's a whole ton of titles on here. And I actually already used one of them, but I love having the titles. So great little everyday moment type titles. So let's scooch this over. And I think I'm going to have the actual sketch be on the left-hand side and then my, the right-hand side. And the left is going to be my inspiration page. I should say companion page. My brain is, I'm talking faster than my brain can keep up or something like that. I don't know what's happening. Every once in a while, you just have a day where you struggle with words, right? So you'll notice some of these are kind of odd shaped photos. So let me grab a base layer for this side. So I did a little sketching in a design space and kind of worked out how this might work. So there's only one of these little polka dot papers. So I thought I would have white, and then this is petal pink. And I just grabbed some petal pink cardstock, and I'm thinking this will be a nice little base to kind of ground that grid. So we're going to bring some white over here, and I can always remove this and use that on the opposite side since I only have one piece. So this is my favorite photo. So I made it large, and I want that on this side of the layout here. And then let me grab that sketch so you can see what I'm doing. Now I am guessing those are probably about 2.5 inches, and they're all squares. So I didn't have that many photos. Now you see they have some of those used for journaling blocks, but again, I didn't have that many photos, and I'm gonna have my story over here in a large area. So I didn't need the journaling bits over here. So if you have a lot of photos, you can definitely keep them all small, but here is what I was thinking. I made some using the Print to Size app, which I do have a full tutorial on how you can very easily size your own photos. Now that app is iPhone compatible only. You can also use Canva. You can use the free version of Canva to create, random photo sizes as well. So definitely, if you don't have a Canva account, I would highly encourage you to make one. You can do some really fun things, but like adding titles to your photos. Chelsea has done some tutorials on how you can do that. So I'm just placing these photos around. You'll notice like these two, they're both kittens inside of the tunnel. So I don't want those right next to each other. I don't want the two, these are actually two different kittens. One's like a tuxedo and one's solid black, but maybe we'll break them up as well. And let's see here. We could put some photos over here too. So maybe we'll put that one there. And then I was thinking this one here. Now I do want to leave a couple spots for embellishments. So I didn't want to fill it completely in with photos. Keeping that in mind, we'll kind of go with that for now. Maybe I don't want these two stacked on top of each other. So I might end up moving that one, but then again we've got all the black kittens. It's a little bit like a puzzle. So maybe we'll do something like that. We can always just let it hang out there for now and come back to that later. So I think that's pretty good for now. But yeah, it's a really great way to, add, like, this photo would not have cropped into a square the way it was taken. I would have cut off my head or cut off the kitten and my mom's dog. So this was a great alternative. Another thing you could do is you could do one big photo here, one big square, and then have smaller photos accompanying it. So lots of different ways to take a classic grid style layout and make that work for you. I went ahead and sorted out all of the tags and all of the pocket cards. So these are all 4x6 pocket cards and then the little tags. And we just I'm trying to make sense of my box of chaos over there since I just tore into it and, threw everything back in the box. So I've got my tags and then I have the pocket cards. So what I'm looking for is colors I want to pull in. And remember, I mentioned that I see a lot of this in the photos. So I'm thinking immediately that one. And I can kind of go through a process of elimination because like this one here, I know that there is this pattern paper in here and there's only one of these. So I'm thinking this one's probably going to come in handy to replicate that pattern on the right hand side if I turn this into a double page. So that one means we're going to, save that for another project. And I don't want to go with the peach because we already have way too much peach. I do like the flowers. And again, we've got that color. There's the yellow and the peach. So this works really well with our color scheme and we're in my mom's garden. So you can't really see flowers in the photos, but it's definitely outside in her yard. And I think the flowers work quite well. So again, just kind of working through here, sorting out the ones I don't want. I know I don't want to bring in this green or this navy blue, so I can get rid of those. Yellow, yes, these are kind of neutral. I'm looking for things that I can kind of chop up and use in maybe as my little base cluster here or layering behind my focal photo. So this is cute, but polka dots on polka dots, even though they're a different scale, I think it's a little bit too much polka dot going on. So we might use you know what? I like the grays better than the brown. So we can rule that one out. So we'll just kind of narrow this down. See how that kind of light color works a little bit better, but I still think that's a little bit more brown and I want to go with gray. That one would work. This would definitely work. So yeah, so now we have that kind of limited or narrowed down. I got rid of almost half of them and I know I absolutely want to use this one. So I'm thinking of, we have a lot of very, blocky square shapes. So I want to create a little messiness and spill over, matting my main focal photo here. So let's try the hearts and see what that looks like. And I'm envisioning my title right here, supporting it. And then I want to save a big spot for the story. So the hearts are okay. But I kind of wanted to bring in the flowers because these are both bringing in all the different colors. But there are some flowers in this kit that I can embellish with. So that makes me kind of lean towards this because it will make embellishing a little bit easier. So I want to show you, like, there's a bigger flower cluster And then there's some, I haven't punched all of these out yet. So this is how they come in a sheet, but there's some little flowers in there that could work really well with this layout. So let's go with that for now. We will bring these two photos back in. And then I want to show you, I went through my ephemera binder and I have some of these little bits. This is left over from a card kit where you can make cards using dogs or cats. So I made up all the dog cards or used the dogs on the cards, and I saved my little kitty cat ephemera because I knew there's oftentimes I'm scrapbooking cats. I have dogs too, but they just were dogs that would kind of go with my dogs, but the cats work well. So I've got these for embellishments that I can mix in. So let me grab that sketch again. On the sketch design, you can see they have lines up here. So to me, that kind of is suggesting the title up there, but I want my title here, so I don't need a second spot for a title. My journaling's going to go here, so I really don't need that for journaling because that could have represented, technically I think these are intended for journaling and that would be your title, but I need to fill that space. So this is where I'm thinking maybe some tags. So again, keeping with the color scheme here, this one has the grays. See what I mean? The kitty has gray, my mom's pants, the grays work really well. So I do like that one. And then of course the blues, that would be a no. That one just doesn't, I don't know. I don't like the look of that one. I think I just don't want to bring in that navy blue. This one works. And then I do like that one. So this is more of the brown tone, but I think it works because we did bring in the little pop of brown there, and no on the green. So easy, just like that. We've narrowed down our tags. So I kind of like, let's go with this one. And then maybe this one to bring in that gray color. And then I might find some wordy bits to kind of layer over the top. And let's put a cat on each side. So I like this one here because he's looking into the layout and I've got an idea, for a cluster. So I think this one might work better over here. And now we have this nice little neutral canvas spot. We can maybe put the kitty like that. I've sorted out some ephemera that I think would go well with this layout. Now there's lots of cute things and you don't have to be literal. Like I could use the bicycle on this because it's gardeny and it just kind of works. But I think I want to save the bike and the globe and the camera, wherever it went, for maybe a travel layout. So I don't want to use those. So again, we have these flowers and I did sort out a typewriter because I have a big story to tell. So to me, a typewriter works well because I even have a stamp that'll fit on there that says the story. And then I went ahead and grabbed all the little floral bits. And then this big heart kind of jumped out at me, even though it's still kind of the same as the background. I thought that would be super cute to maybe fit in a space of a square. Now, see how that's all lined up? Now I'm kind of wanting to put this one back here because we have a cluster here. So I want some embellishing over here, but now I don't want this in the same row. So let's do this and this. And then I like that. And then we can just kind of maybe add our flowers, tossing them down. See how that just kind of fills that space perfectly? It was like it was meant to be. So maybe some flowers there. And then actually this one's big. I might fussy cut those out, but maybe we have the most room over here. So maybe the big flowers there, and then we can just add some little flowers up there for now. And we might not need all of those. So let me think about a title. There are tons of options on here. So I pulled this one off earlier for a different project and kind of took the sticky off a little bit. These are the moments. That would work. It's not quite long enough. I was envisioning it longer. And with titles like this, so these are all stickers. And if you don't, we have a very light background. So what I could do is add some inking to the top and change the color of these. So I certainly could bring in a color like Pretty Peacock, which is this color up here and in the pocket card, and I could ink that up. So that is an idea. So just remember that on these. You wouldn't want to do that on here because you're going to lose that white border. But on these, they're solid, so you could very easily change those colors. And I'm just thinking, like I said, I like they're kind of everyday moments, but I'm thinking about my journaling and the story I want to tell. I already kind of wrote down some notes, is about my mom's kind heart. She's such a kind person. And I'll tell you the story about, I mean, these are just a few kittens. There's a lot more kittens. And everybody told her, don't get involved, don't feed it. A stray showed up at her house. Two young female cats. We knew they were female. We couldn't touch them, but you knew they were female because they were calico. And sure enough, not long after, she started feeding them because they're babies and they looked pretty pathetic. They had babies. So now my mom, has all these kittens and she's trying to do best by them by taming them down to hopefully find them homes. So again, the story is all about my mom's kindness, even if it ended up being a giant burden on her. Really rough burden, right? Playing with kittens. But anyway, so I have a stamp set in mind. It is a stamp from close to my heart, and it's called Hope and Kindness. You may have this in your collection, but it's the title here, and these have coordinating thin cuts, which makes it handy. Beautiful Heart, and it's nice and big. So beautiful and then heart. I think that's going to span that nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp and die cut that in Pretty Peacock and give it a go. While I was doing that, I actually printed up my journaling and I just printed it out on printer paper just to kind of see how it would look on the layout here. So I told you I had a big story to tell, right? And let's see with the title. So again, I wanted this to kind of support my photos. So I needed something to be pretty big, have a big impact in that area. And I think that that is going to be perfect actually. So I could have stamped it right on the layout, but I want this to kind of overlap the photos here. And then I wanted to make sure I had room for this much journaling. That was important, right? We want to document the story. So now we can just build up a little cluster over here and see how that looks. So the typewriter is kind of the biggest element, and we can maybe have the flowers coming out, and then I want to use the kitty too, so we're kind of running out of room here. Let's maybe bump this up and see if we can make this work. Maybe I'll just use the smaller flowers. So this is what I was going for. I want this guy kind of framing in the story, but to me this looks a little weird because the kitty's kind of small and then we have this big cluster. So we need something more right here. Maybe these guys will work. So we could just add, let's see, some flowers there. We still need something more. Maybe a tag kind of supporting all of that. Let's see, this kind of ties that color in nicely too as I throw it on the floor. Come back here. So we could just, I don't really love the idea of the journaling lines going the wrong direction, but if we cover up enough of that, maybe it won't matter. Do we need yellow down there? Maybe we need, the pink isn't really showing up. Let's go with the peacock and the yellow. That looks better. Do you see how that just kind of supports it? I also have all of these little banners. There's all sorts of punch outs in this kit. So we could use some of these. And I have here, I'm liking this color down here. I don't want to, I've got a yellow one, but I don't want to bring in too much yellow. I think just the bits of yellow is such a bright color. It can often be intense. So I think I want to stick with this color. So let's move the tag and maybe try this. Kind of like the darker one. Can we layer those? Maybe like that. Let's stick this one out farther. I can trim off what's behind there too. We're just placing it for now. Maybe bring the kitty in and then the flowers. I think I like that better than the tag. And maybe we just want to fussy cut out a few of those so it's not so big. I think I'm liking that. Normally, I don't allow myself to get this far into the layout before adhering things down because there's nothing more discouraging than like, oh, look it, we're almost done. Now I got to take it all apart. But what I think I'm going to do is I am really liking the way this looks. And this is small enough to fit through my printer. So I'm going to print this since I haven't put, anything down. I'm going to take advantage and print this right on this piece. So I'm going to go ahead. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a photo of this because I will never remember exactly how I had it. So that's a great little tip for you, and definitely one I've shared here before. Take a picture. So get everything kind of, and sometimes when you're maybe thinking it doesn't look right, like something's bothering you, take a picture and look at it through the lens of your phone, and it just really changes the perspective. So I can tell I already shoved those down. I want that higher. So I'm going to get this situated and take a photo. I wanted to show you how I went about printing this on, or how I'm going to print this on the cardstock. So this is computer paper, and my cardstock piece is 8 by 11. So a regular printer size paper, letter size paper, is 8.5 by 11. So what I did, just to make it perfect, at first my computer has an 8 by 10 setting, and it ended up kind of wonky. So I went ahead and made a custom size in my Mac in Pages, and literally just sized that paper to 8 by 11. And then I made a text box. So I always print my journaling in a text box, and you can see it, you can move it around. So I have my sheet set to 8 by 11, and then I can center this. See that line pop up? It tells you when it's centered, and then just drag it down to the bottom of the page, and then it will print right there on the bottom of the page. So now I can go ahead using the rear tray on my printer for cardstock. I know it's going to be positioned perfectly. I have everything adhered down, and then I collected, now this is the other half of this, but I have all of these punch outs. I want some yellow up in this corner, so I thought we could layer a few of these little decorative elements here, and these are really cute little pieces. So we need to address this. I don't need it for journaling, so I thought I would make some embellishments. I've got pretty Peacock ink, and then this super cute little paw print set. Now this is a card kit called By Your Side. You'll recognize the kitty cat ephemera, but there's also a stamp set, and it has some cute dog and cat themed elements on it. So now I have gray granite and petal pink, and we're going to make another little embellishment. The word meow is from my stash. Now I have the petal pink ink, and then there's this cute little fish, and that is from the stamp set with the By Your Side kit. We'll create a little row underneath the word meow, and then we can punch this out. So this is a circle punch. It's 1 3/4, and we'll just kind of line that up in the center and give it a squeeze. Now we have our own little custom embellishment, and I will fussy cut out the paw prints as well. Let me bring this back into frame, and then we'll create just a little embellishment cluster over this journaling block, since we don't need it for journaling. So I kind of like everything nestled and overlapping, spilling over the edges. And then I also have this tiny little strip here. I cut a little banner tail, and I think that'll finish this off nicely. That looks pretty cute. If we bring the original sketch design back in, you can see that there. It's just a bunch of uniform squares spaced evenly. I matted that on that petal pink cardstock, and then of course made some custom photo sizes rather than all squares. And of course created a companion page to go along with it. And these little kittens are just so cute. Aren't they cute? I love how that little cluster turned out. But look at this one here, meowing in the tunnel. If you enjoyed seeing how this sketch came together, definitely check out my crafty friends and see how they have interpreted this sketch. It's always fun to see everybody put their own creative spin on the design. You can find those videos right here and also in the description box below. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you very soon on YouTube.